I think that's it. I think what Dan says is important because Jerry Jones has taken this personally. He's treated their conversation in the spring as if it was a conversation amongst friends, right? There is no friendship in ownership and labor. That's not the way it worked. The imbalance of power doesn't allow that. So when Jerry Jones says, okay, we're going to pay you this much per year, it's going to be this many years. And when Micah Parsons says, yes, that sounds good, Jerry, now call David Mulligetta and let's get the fine print worked out. You would expect that David Mulligetta has gotten black and white or gotten an email or gotten a paper that says, here's the outline of what we want to do within a contract. That's never happened. That next step that says, okay, I have a representation, the same way Jerry would have representation if he was going into litigation. I have representation that you're supposed to work this out with. And what's happened publicly is Jerry Jones, as we all do when we get older, we lose the social filter that tells us this is something we shouldn't talk about publicly.
Yeah.
And this man's future. You're playing with this man's livelihood in terms of Micah Parsons. Yes, he's under contract, but the reality is that you know what this man deserves. You had an idea about it, and you're playing these games. And why am I so disgusted with Jerry Jones about this? Because of the things that I've heard. Molly, Mike T, Swagoo, you've heard this. Do y'all know he hasn't spoken to Micah Parsons' agent? You're talking about, you're treating like the discussions that you had months ago with Micah Parsons was a negotiation. It wasn't a negotiation. Now, you know this as a former executive in the National Football League. You don't sit up there and have a discussion with a player and think that's a contract negotiation. Was anything memorialized? Was anything firmly and definitively agreed upon by the parties that be? Normally, you're sending the player away because you want to talk to their representation. You're not thinking that a conversation with a player who, by the way, is 25, 26 years of age, that this man is astute and he's an expert at negotiations. That's not Micah Parsons.
The Dallas Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California has turned into a battlefield of egos, frustration, and whispers that could shake the NFL to its core. And at the center of it all, Micah Parsons, the all-pro pass-rushing phenom, a man who has terrorized quarterbacks since the day he entered the league, now locked in a standoff with America's team. And, according to the latest swirling rumors, potentially on a collision course with the Cleveland Browns. It all began last week when Parsons, clearly fed up with the Cowboys' front office, dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the league. He wanted out. Not next year. Not after the season. Now months of failed contract negotiations had pushed him past the breaking point, and the message was clear. If Dallas wasn't going to pay him like the game wrecker he is, then someone else would.
Let's get in here and sign it. Micah said this. Now, I don't think the agent would have done that. But Micah, even if he did agree, obviously does not know the fine print, or is not one that should read the fine print and know all the ins and outs of a contract. We have agents, and we got agents that deal with that stuff. So, of course, Micah wants his agent to do it. So don't tell me you're urgent to get this done when you won't even call his agent. And I don't know what the deal is with him and David Mulligetta. Mulligetta is one of the best agents in the league. So I don't know.
Forbes just called him the most powerful guy in the NFL.
I don't understand what in the world is going on. No, he's up there.
I'm just telling you, he's the top agent in the NFL.
He's
sorry.
Okay.
Forbes called him the most powerful agent in the
Okay.
NFL.
Like,
yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
probably
just,
not more
it's
powerful
just,
than Goodell.
Yeah, it's disingenuous. I think.
Well,
now look quickly.
Yeah,
I do think it's getting done.
Probably.
I think. Yeah, I'm probably. But Jerry does seem dug in. And the fact of the matter is this: as much as I hope Micah gets his deal,
Micah doesn't have
because
a lot
of the rule. Yeah, the rules are what they are. He can't sit out. We can talk about that. He can't sit out the whole season.
But here's the twist. According to ESPN's Todd Archer and multiple insiders, no official calls had been made about a Parsons trade. At least, not yet. On paper, Jerry Jones is digging his heels in, saying he has no intention of granting Parsons' request. But behind the scenes, the rumblings have started. The Cleveland Browns, already loaded with defensive talent, could be the dark horse team ready to pounce if Jones's resolve starts to crack. Think about it. Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, two of the most dangerous edge rushers in the game, wearing the same colors, lining up across from each other and unleashing chaos on opposing quarterbacks. The idea alone has Browns fans drooling and NFL offensive coordinators losing sleep.
This is not unusual to take place in Dallas. This is new for Micah. On another side, this ain't nothing new for Jerry Jones. Did it with CD. CD signed. He did it with Dak. Dak signed. Did it with old Emmett. Dez. If this is normal behavior and it has led to everybody being good at the end of the day, he's going to keep doing it until somebody puts their foot down and say, nah, bro, I don't want you to publicly antagonize me when I'm sitting up here trying to be the best version of myself for the betterment of the team. You don't handle me like you've done for decades and decades with your players. This is definitely a tactic. You can come to terms isolated and one-on-one, but specifications require an agent to be present or a professional in that field. Let Dave Mulligetta do his doggone job because he's really good at what he does. Boxing him out, You're going through the agent sooner or later, Jerry. So why are you not going through the agent for your star players? Some ain't adding up. You ask yourself and say, hey, why is Jerry doing this? Well, Jerry's been doing this since inception, and it's worked for him. But sooner or later, it may not work for everybody.
You feel like Micah will sign with Dallas?
Will Dallas seek a trade? Because he's still under contract with the Dallas Cowboys. So if you're asking who has the leverage, Jerry Jones has the leverage still. And it all comes down to salary cap. Because you got Dak Prescott that's making $60 a year. You got CeeDee Lamb that's also top paid.
But he in a pickle, boy.
It's going to get real interesting in good old Dallas. They still doing training camp over there in California?
I don't know, but somebody might not make the trip back to Dallas if they don't get that paperwork right.
Like, it's really going to get interesting. And we going to keep our nose glued to the tube.
For sure.
Parsons' situation is messy. He's heading into the fifth-year option of his rookie deal, set to make $24 million this season. After that, he's slated to hit free agency. But the Cowboys could still slap the franchise tag on him to delay his exit, a move that would keep him locked in Dallas, but almost certainly deepen the animosity. At just 26 years old and on a Hall of Fame trajectory, Parsons isn't just a star. He's the kind of player you build your entire defense around, and Jerry knows it, which is exactly why he's trying to play hardball. But here's where the plot thickens. While Parsons has shown up to every Cowboys practice to avoid the $50,000 per day fines, he's been noticeably avoiding the heavy lifting, a back issue, according to the team. But many inside the organization believe it's more than just tight muscles. They see it as a strategic move, a warning shot, a message to Jones: pay me or move me.
It makes no sense whatsoever, especially when you have T.J. Watt, who set the market for being the highest paid non-quarterback. In black and white, you know what the numbers are. He's making $41 million. Myles Garrett, before T.J. Watt, he was making $40 million at the defensive end position. So you know what the numbers should be, and it's in black and white. So I don't understand why the deal is not done right now currently, but also I don't understand Jerry Jones and his logic behind not talking to the agent of Micah Parsons. I think it's utterly disrespectful to say that, hey, I was in the room talking to Micah Parsons about leadership, and then all of a sudden we got on contract talks, and then I felt like we struck a deal, because that says to me, no, you felt like you got over on Micah Parsons because his representation was not in that room. So I don't know what GM, what owner in their right mind thinks that a player is going to sit there and have a casual conversation with you, and the next thing you know, you're talking about a contract, and then y'all strike a deal. It's okay to have the respect for David Mulligetta and call the agent of Micah Parsons and figure this thing out. But that's not the case for Jerry Jones. So Jerry Jones is acting like the child in this situation, and Michael Parsons is being the adult.
When Parsons missed his first full practice last Thursday, Jerry Jones tried to downplay it. But even his comments betrayed a hint of doubt. "I'm not confident he'll be here week 1, Jones admitted. That's not exactly the kind of reassurance Cowboys Nation was hoping for. Now add in the Browns' position. Cleveland is in win-now mode. Myles Garrett is at his peak, Deshaun Watson is under immense pressure to deliver, and the AFC is a gauntlet of elite offenses. Adding Parsons would transform their defense from top tier to downright terrifying. And while the Browns front office has been quiet publicly, insiders say they've been monitoring the situation closely, waiting, watching, ready to strike if Jerry's poker face starts to slip.
This should not be a negotiation. I think this is tantamount to a max salary in basketball. It's time. This is what he get. Pay him. This is not someone you should negotiate with. He was a first-round pick who performed like on a Hall of Fame track. What are we doing? You pay him $1 more than the person who got paid at that position prior to him. There are some car dealerships you can go into and haggle. There are some that the price is the price because it's so rare and valuable.
He is probably the greatest non-Terp defensive player in the history of the Dallas Cowboys.
He's that guy. There's no way around it. I could understand why it might take you a while to come to a consensus with CeeDee Lamb. I could understand how it is that you don't want to have to make yourself pay Dak Prescott all that money. You should be excited about giving that money to Micah Parsons.
The reality is, if Parsons truly became available, the asking price would be astronomical. We're talking multiple first-round picks, a top young player, maybe even more. But the Browns, who have shown they're not afraid to make bold, franchise-altering moves, could justify the cost if it meant finally breaking through in the AFC. And that's exactly why this rumor has exploded online. Social media has turned into a war zone between Cowboys diehards begging Jerry to just pay the man, and Browns fans flooding timelines with photoshopped images of Parsons in brown and orange. But here's what's fueling the fire even more. This isn't just about money. This is about respect. Parsons feels he's earned it. He's been the heart and soul of the Cowboys' defense since being drafted 12th overall in 2021. He's the guy who can change a game with one play, the guy offensive lines spend the entire week scheming against. And yet, with every passing day, the Cowboys' front office drags its feet. For Jerry Jones, this is a dangerous game. He's built a reputation as one of the most stubborn owners in sports, a man who won't be bullied by players, no matter how talented they are. But for every day this standoff continues, the tension grows, and the whispers about a potential trade get louder. The Browns aren't the only team being mentioned in the rumor mill. There's talk of teams like the Ravens, the Jets, and even the Bears lurking in the shadows. But Cleveland's situation is unique. They've got the talent, the urgency, and the defensive-minded coaching staff to make Parsons feel like a king. And from a competitive standpoint, poaching one of Dallas's crown jewels would be a statement move in the AFC arms race. For now, the official word is that no deal is in the works. Jerry says Parsons isn't going anywhere, but NFL history is filled with owners and general managers swearing a player won't be traded, right before shipping them out when the price is right. And here's the kicker. The longer this drags on, the more leverage Parsons gains. If he plays hurt, his performance suffers and his value drops for Dallas. If he sits out or continues to limit himself in practice, the Cowboys' defense takes a hit immediately. Either way, Jerry is under pressure to make a move before this standoff blows up in his face. Cowboys Nation is holding its breath. Browns fans are quietly, or maybe not so quietly, manifesting their dreams of a Parsons-Garrett nightmare combo. And the rest of the NFL? They're watching closely, because if Micah Parsons does get moved, it could shift the entire balance of power in the league. One thing is certain, this is no longer just a contract negotiation. This is a chess match between a billionaire owner and one of the most dominant defenders of his generation. And the Browns, they might just be waiting for checkmate. So, whether this ends with Parsons storming back onto the field in a Cowboys jersey or walking into the dog pound as Cleveland's newest weapon, one thing's for sure, the NFL drama is just getting started. And when the smoke clears, we may be looking at one of the biggest trades in league history.
Got to start willing and dealing. At this point, the Hawks still have their first-round picks for 26, 27, and 28. You know that it's going to take a first-round pick. People say, Bum, why would you give away a first-round pick? Because I don't anticipate the Seahawks picking 1 through 5, 1 through 10. They're going to be a team that's going to be around 17, 18, 19, 20. And yes, it's a roll of the dice to give up your first-round picks. But if you're going after Micah Parsons, one of the best defensive players in the game, I'm starting to shift. I'm leaning towards Micah Parsons and saying, look, you can get this done. Now, the key into all this is, what is the offense going to look like? What is Sam Darnold going to look like? Here's the scenario. Say Sam Darnold just has an average season, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, nothing too crazy. The offense is okay, but not great. But you got this young man, Milroe, who's been training all year and look like he might be ready to take over. What do the Philadelphia Eagles have? A mobile quarterback who can run the dang ball. If you can run the football with your quarterback, toss it up a few times, have a great defense, you look like the Philadelphia Eagles. So at this point right now, I'm saying, John, everybody upstairs, we're in VMAC right now. John, everybody upstairs, listen to me. You answer the phone, you make phone calls, you try everything you can to at least entertain getting Micah Parsons because he makes your defense better. Why did the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl last year? They ran the football, they played great defense, had a mobile quarterback who was nasty in the red zone. I'm looking at the Seahawks and I'm saying, hey, there's your recipe right